Hello, everybody, this is Purge, bringing you guys a much-awaited Dark Willow replay commentary. I know, it's been probably 6 months since this hero came out, but we're finally here to tell you how to play her. And to start that off, let's jump over to the Dotabuff section. Everyone's favorite section that is filled with lots of important information that they probably know at least half of already. But let's cover it really quick. So Dark Willow as a hero is kind of an interesting hero. She's kind of like a area control sort of hero that also has a lot of magic damage situationally. She does not have good AoE. In fact, she has technically no AoE damage, but she does have pseudo AoE damage with the way her skills work. Your first skill is Bramble Maze. You put a bunch of little brambles down and a geometric pattern, and then if somebody is standing in them or walks through them, they take damage and they are rooted for a period of time. This is a very long cooldown ability, but it is very good situationally if people need to run a certain area. If people are choking through trees, it's really good too, because it's hard for them to walk around it. But if you place it in open ground, people can usually run around it. Her second skill is called Shadow Realm. What it does is it makes you immune of targeting, like nobody can click on you, allies included usually, which is kind of cool for up to 5 seconds. And then after 3 seconds, it amps up the damage you're about to do with your next attack. And then as soon as you attack, you break the Shadow Realm, and it gives you more range while you do this. And then you deal bonus damage, magic damage that is. So you can use this to dodge projectiles. It's kind of like Sark Ultimate, except it's kind of like Sark Ultimate. You can see her, but you can't actually click on her. You can stun her with AoE stuns or ground targeted stuns, but you can dodge projectiles with this. So things like Vengeful Spirit Missile or Sniper Ulti, things like that. But generally, it's used to make your hero survivable for a couple seconds, and also when you're in an aggressive position, but also to give you some damage. Generally, pro players will be maxing this ability out. In the game that I played, I ended up maxing Bramble Maze because I thought that might be worthwhile. But looking back, maybe Shadow Realm's better. Your third skill is kind of cool. It's called Curse Crowned. You cast it on somebody, and then everybody can see the animation. And after 4 seconds, there will be an AoE stun on that hero or unit for 2 to 3.5 seconds. This ability gets really good as you level it up because it's a 12-second cooldown with 3.5-second stun. But when somebody has something like a Dispel, like a Manta Style, a Yule Scepter, a Lotus Orb, lots of things like that, they can just remove Curse Crown from themselves before it procs, which means nobody gets stunned. So in the late game, it's not really the best skill, but it's very good in the early and mid game stages of the game when people don't have Dispels. Now your ultimate is kind of cool because you actually have 2 of them. They're based on this little like bug thing that Dark Willow keeps in her little lantern. I was gonna say the better one, but I'm not really sure which one's better. Terrorize is kind of cool. They each have separate cooldowns. Bedlam is a much lower cooldown, 40 to 30 seconds, and Terrorize is a much longer cooldown, 100 to 60. This one has a 1-second cast animation, and what it does is throws out her pet Wisp, and it terrorizes enemies in an AoE, which means that they run back to their fountain for 4 seconds. So it is essentially, if your opponents can't move, Fear is a stun. But what Fear does is it makes them run faster than normal. So if you fear somebody and you're trying to kill them and they're now faster than you, it's kind of a bad thing. But it basically stuns them. So if you prevent them from moving and you terrorize, it's great. If you can put a fissure behind people, or if you can trap them with Tusk Ice Shards, terrorize is really useful. Or if you can make them run into things like, maybe you want them to run towards their base a little bit because you can get them into Techie's mines, or maybe you can get them to walk into a Chronosphere, for example. There's a lot of good things like that terrorize does. The way Bedlam works is it also brings out your Wisp. Keep in mind that you can't cast both of these ultimates at the same time. The Wisp has to come back in between. But what Bedlam does, your Wisp does a circle around you, and it attacks a random enemy unit nearby for magic damage every 0.25 seconds. So that means for every second, it's dealing the attack damage times 4 if the enemy is pretty much on top of you, because the range of the Bedlam attack is based on exactly where the Wisp is. So if you get too far away from somebody, then the Wisp is not doing damage constantly to the right person. It does prioritize heroes over creeps, but if there's a lot of heroes that's not doing AoE damage, it's really just splitting the damage. It's kind of like Clockwork Battery Assault, for example. So that's how the skills work. Ideally, your combo is you're setting up with Curse Crown. As soon as that's about to stun, you follow that up with a Bramble Maze and Bedlam. Ideally, Bramble Maze after the stun ends is the ideal, and then lots of damage with Bedlam. Level 1 Bedlam does a okay amount of damage, pretty good amount, but the follow-up levels are a lot of damage. So we've got to keep that in mind. You don't have any stuns other than things that are a little bit delayed with Curse Crown or Bramble Maze, so it's kind of hard to consistently do Bedlam damage to people. And it's actually really important that you run fast because it allows you to walk with somebody. I actually talked to Pablo here at GSC Indonesia at an after party, and he said He asked what I thought about Dark Willow, and he said that at the time, this is probably like 3 weeks ago, like a month ago. He said that he thinks that she was OP. With that said, I looked at some of the recent esports stuff, and she actually has. I don't think she's been banned or picked in the pro scene in like 3 weeks, at least within majors or minors. There was a lot of her being played. There were some at Epicenter, I believe, and for the qualifiers for MDL, but so far in MDL, and there's been like 2 days of group stages so far, nobody's picked her. So keep in mind that she has received some nerfs since then. So I'm not saying that Pablo is wrong, and he clearly does have the highest hero score, but she is a situationally good hero. She has some parts of her that are really strong, but that doesn't mean she's super broken. Stat-wise, she has a very good int gain. Her agility gain is mediocre, and her strength gain is okay, kind of mediocre. Base movement speed is a little bit slow, not terrible. Base armor is not terrible for a ranged int hero. Her base damage is sort of okay. Her base attack time is insane, and her attack point is pretty good. So base attack time, what this means, keep in mind that most heroes have a base attack time of 1.7. So that means that at level 1, assuming they don't have any agility, that the hero will attack once every 1.7 seconds. So when you have a 1.3 base attack time, that means any extra attack speed you get means that you attack faster. So despite her not having an AoE, she can actually push creep waves relatively fast because she does attack rapidly because of her low base attack time. So damage bonuses on this hero are actually really good. Her attack range is not good. It doesn't say here, but it's probably like 350 or 400 or something like that. It's like a medium attack range. Talent tree, cast range. I guess we could go over popular ability builds. Usually Shadow Realm max is what a lot of pros do. I've seen some go max Bramble Maze first. The duration goes up by 0.5 seconds per level. The nicest thing, in my opinion, is that the cooldown goes down to a pretty respectable 25 seconds. I actually really like that because if you want to gank with this hero, having to wait 40 seconds every time kind of sucks. But if you do get to level 4 with Shadow Realm, you'll be casting Shadow Realm as you approach the gank. Once you initiate the first Shadow Realm attack, you should have only about 7 to 9 seconds left until you can cast another one. So hypothetically, you could use this twice in a gank, which is kind of a lot of damage, 360 magic, with an increased attack range, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen anybody max out Cursed Crown before. I'm not really sure that's good. I would argue probably not. The stun goes up to 3.5 seconds and the cooldown goes down a lot, but you're not really going to be spamming this, and it's kind of mana expensive later. So, generally, this hero is mostly played as a support. When she first came out, a lot of people were playing her as a mid to test her out that way, but she's not really good that way. Again, she doesn't have AoE. She does have a great animation, and her damage is okay, but she doesn't necessarily work there super well. There's just better heroes. You kind of really need AoE as a mid hero to be effective, and if she has to cast Bedlam, just clear the creep wave, you're not in a good place. So support is basically where Dark Willow is sitting consistently, but max either Shadow Realm or Bramble Maze. Probably max the other one after you max the first one, and then you will max out Bedlam late game, or Cursed Crown late game. But I've seen a 414 before as well if you want more disable, which maybe is the right option sometimes. Item wise, you need a little bit of mana regen, so something like Arcane Boots makes sense. Tranquil Boots is also very good, mostly because it's going to give you HP regen, but also because it gives you a lot of movement speed. And something that's actually really critical about her is that you have to make sure that you walk at the same speed as somebody, because when you terrorize them and make them run away from you, they're very fast, right? So you need to stand on top of them so you can make sure Bedlam does maximum amount of damage. If you're not on top of them, it doesn't deal max damage, and then it's hard to get kills. So movement speed is really important if you can't land a Cursed Crown or a Bramble Mace and you get these opportunities. So that's why Tranquil Boots is so cool and so useful. And because she already attacks so fast, it's something like Treads is just not needed. I'd prefer Tranquils, Arcanes. I don't think you need Treads necessarily. I'm kind of iffy about Arcanes myself. I'm not sure if you really need it because all of our abilities are really long cooldown early on. 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 18 seconds. So, I don't know. By the time you get Arcanes, I feel like another item is better. Eul's Scepter is really good on the hero, partially because of the movement speed. The mana regen is also good. The int is also good. But the active is very good because it cyclones somebody for 2.5 seconds. You can think of this kind of similar to Ancient Apparition getting into Eul's, because you can cast Cursed Crown, which takes 4 seconds to hit. You can Eul somebody, which makes them in place for 2.5 seconds. And that means that once you cast Curse Crown, they only have a second and a half to run to safety before they get stunned. So that means they're more out of position when you actually go on them, which is good, because otherwise, if they have 4 seconds, they might cast a spell, get back to base, or run a really long distance before they get disabled. So Yule's great for that. And again, the movement speed so you can walk with them is awesome. And also to dispel yourself from silences and stuff like that. Magic Wand is just standard good stuff. Blink Dagger is really good because it helps you follow up on people that you initiate on. So if you use Curse Crown on somebody, and you have 4 seconds until it's time for you to go in on them, you can cast it, wait 4 seconds, then blink after them to initiate with Bedlam, for example. So movement, positioning kind of abilities are very good. Force Staff is also good, but not as built as something like a Blink Dagger, understandably. Kaya is semi-popular too. I don't necessarily recommend it though. It increases the spell damage you deal by 10%. It gives you 16 in, so it's really more like 11% spell amp or something, maybe a little bit more. It's a very good spell amp, and it does reduce your mana cost by 10%. I don't think the mana costs need to be reduced on this hero. I think her mana pool is good enough, and her abilities are not spammable enough to make Kaya that justified. But the spell amp is kind of nice because Bedlam does a lot. But to be honest, the better thing to do is probably just to buy Veil of Discord, by far. In this game that I'm going to show you, I bought a Veil because I had a challenge, but it's also really good on the hero. So it's just better to get, in my opinion. You're looking at a very comparable cost. Kaya's $19.50. Veil is $23.30, so it's about 400 gold more, but it gives you 5 armor, 6 armor, 5 HP. Actually, it's almost 7 armor because of the agility, but about 7 armor, 5 HP regen, 6 attack speed, 6 strength, 14 int. So it doesn't give you as much mana longevity, obviously, but it's going to give you way more damage. That's because when you use Veil active, the magic weakness or whatever, you're increasing the damage you deal by 25%, where Kaya only increases it by 10. Now, if they have a lot of magic resistance, I don't remember if... I think these both effectively work the same way. 10% spell amp can be thought of the same as you reducing their mana resistance, magic resistance by 10%. So on paper, Veil is a better item if you cast it on all the people that you need to cast it on. So something to keep in mind. It does cost mana to cast, obviously. And like I said, more expensive. But it's kind of nice having armor on here. Windlace, the reason it has a low win rate is just because people that buy it haven't been able to finish their items. I bought an urn on her this game as well, just to increase my magic damage. I like that. Thought that was a good build. Oh, there's Force Staff. Glimmer Cape, just defensive sort of items. Will really make her go a lot farther because she can evade damage with Shadow Realm, and then comboing a Force or Glimmer on top of that is really good. So here's your good against. These are actually pretty poor advantages, I must say. It's not really anything that's like sub 2. I generally don't pay much attention to. Again, these are across the board MMR advantages, so maybe they don't mean very much. Visage kind of makes sense, I guess. You could terrorize to make him and his bats run away. Bramble Maze will immobilize him and his bats while they're running away. Chen, probably the same kind of thing. That when Chen is diving, it's okay. It's pretty straightforward for the Dark Willow to not have issues. And ideally, if I'm being ganked by Chen creeps, I might even just cast like Curse Crown on one of the creeps, because then the Chen has to split them apart so they don't all get stunned, for example. Io, same kind of thing, kind of grouped up. Spiritbreaker probably gets caught in Bramble Mazes as he charges in, for example. So these all make sense, but really not that many advantages. And it looks like across the board, there's not that many disadvantages either. Alchemist technically has an advantage, but I would argue that she's probably fine against him because she can pressure him a little bit. But I guess things like Radiance are really annoying to deal with. And if he does get the Blink Dive on her, she doesn't have that much armor base, so he could probably kill her. PL, no AoE, can't control them very well. So a lot of these kind of make sense. Perks I didn't go over, but cast range makes a ton of sense. We can check this inside in Dotabuff and using Dota Plus. But these are generally a pretty good demonstration across all MMRs. Cast range is the thing you want because it helps you cast Curse Crown to initiate. And Bramble Mazes at the right time in front of your opponents, basically. GPM and movement speed, I was actually conflicted because I felt like everybody gets a GPM, which is pretty much true from what I've seen, numbers-wise. But I was looking at some of the recent trending guides here, and movement speed is actually better, at least for most players. There are some cases where people get GPM, which I can understand, but movement speed is just so good on this hero. 20 Spell Amp or Shadow Realm, almost everybody gets Shadow Realm max damage. They probably have a semi-close win rate just because the people that get this one are maybe more likely to be hard carries or, you know, like strong mid snowballers. And in those games, they might think like, oh, I'm just going to get Spell Life Steal so I can stay alive longer. But the Shadow Realm max damage kind of makes sense because then it's going to up your damage up to 660. But generally, I didn't do a very good job using Shadow Realm, so maybe it didn't matter. Your 25 is kind of interesting. 200 attack speed, which is insane. It makes you attack really fast. And 1.5 seconds of Terrorize duration. The Terrorize duration just got buffed because nobody picks it. And I would argue that generally this one is going to be maybe worse. But in pro games, nobody really gets to 25 on Dark Willow, so I don't think it's that much of an indicator. In pubs, people are almost always going to grab attack speed because they want damage. And again, Terrorize is a fear, so if you don't use it with the right other heroes, it kind of is wishy-washy. Oh yeah, other tabs. Hero meta statistics here, 50.89% at 5k and above for is what Dotabuff says. And for me, I've only played 4 games of her, and I'm at a 75% win rate. So let us go hop into the Dota 2 game. Boop. So I did a dual offlane this game. I was playing with my homies, so I was probably the high MMR in the game. We had a 4 stack here. We did not know the lifestealer, and we're doing a dual offlane of Dark Willow with Weaver. Yes. We also have a Draw Ranger in the game, which is significant. Keep in mind that I mentioned the base attack time for Dark Willow. Since she attacks really fast and I'm going to have Draw Aura, that means I'm actually going to do a lot of damage by right-clicking this game. You'll be able to see it when I start attacking. And in fact, that's one way that I've seen Dark Willow seem semi-useful, is that if you buy something like a Fast Null Talisman on the hero, then she has a lot of bonus damage, and you can use that bonus damage with the base attack time to actually harass quite a bit. So her right-click harass is not bad. Her attack range is 475, it looks like. It's actually a little bit higher than I thought it was. I'm going to really quickly... Oops, spoiled. Really quickly look at her trends in-game for 5k. So the numbers are a little bit different here, especially this one. But keep in mind the sample size is usually pretty low. But I guess considering that the pick percentage is at 9.9, this is probably a lot of data. Just make sure that you look at these pick percentages when you're checking to see what the win rates of these perks are. It can be helpful to realize if it's a small sample size, especially like if it's a support and they don't get to 25 very often. Sometimes the sample size is very low, so the data isn't very useful. But cast range, higher win rate. Movement speed, higher win rate. I think that makes sense personally because movement speed helps you initiate and escape. The spell lifesteal has a massive advantage, but again, the sample size, the pick rate is so low that I feel like it's very possibly just because of some cores feeling like they could just go Radiance or something and take spell lifesteal, which would be fun, but probably not good. But almost everybody grabs the Shadow Realm max damage. But maybe 10% of spell lifesteal is better. I don't know. And then this one looks about equal. So I just wanted to look at that really quick. Sometimes that data is interesting to look at because in the Dota 2 client you get a little bit more information than is than is in the Valve API. So you can kind of it parses those out by MMR. So this is regular speed game. You should be able to tell very rapidly how fast I'm attacking. And just to really look at that quick, let's look at the sniper here. He attacks every 1.27 seconds. Jakiro every 1.5. And basically I just have +4 to stats and 18 agility, which is slightly less than what Sniper has. And I attack quite a bit faster than him, unless I'm under Liquid Fire. I used my Bramble Maze there just to disable my opponents a little bit, and I didn't want to tank Shrapnel too much, so I decided it was time to just back up, stroll back to the lane. So the reason I just got lots of stats is because I wanted to get the Null Talisman Rush, but I needed to buy some support items. So instead I filled in with items I was going to buy, which is going to be a Wand for 2 Ironwood Branches, and a Circlet, which would eventually be a Null Talisman. Walked right into that Liquid Fire there. But I got a Magic Stick because I'm in a dual offlane situation. I'm not super personally survivable, and I thought it would be better just to ensure that I had a higher chance to survive fights. And I'm just going to focus on denying when possible, and once the large camp spawns, I should be shifting over there to end up getting a pull going. Because if I get a pull going, then that means more denied experience. Okay, I think I did actually pull, or at least I was planning to pull here. The problem though is that they actually put a lot of AoE nukes. They both use AoE nukes there, which pushes the lane, which means that now I actually can't get a pull off. Ideally, what Chris would have done on his Weaver is walk forward a little bit, or pull the creep wave to the left. That way, the neutrals could aggro the wave. But I think I pulled it slightly wrong anyway, so it's not. I don't think it's really his fault. Now, one negative about what I'm doing is I'm actually not bullying the enemies at all. I'm just kind of sitting back waiting for a deny opportunity, and I think this is a big mistake. My harass was not a mistake. This was all very good. I probably should have used Shadow Realm there to dodge that, because if I did, I would have dodged basically 60 magic damage harass from that guy, which would have been very worthwhile, and now I'm completely out of regen, so that was actually pretty crappy for me. The first couple hits were all good, hitting the Jakiro there, but it definitely took way too much damage there. And now that I'm low on HP and out of regen, I'm kind of limited in what I can do here in this lane. If you guys aren't dual off lane very much right now, you really need to. It is by far the most popular thing at the moment. And that's mostly because the denying a creep reduces a lot of the experience that your opponents gain. They go from getting 100% of the experience to the person that denies gets 25, and the person that gets denied on gets 25. So on that range creep that I just denied, they lost 75% of the experience that they should have had. Now I used Shadow Realm almost instantly here because I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't take any damage from this. And then I threw out the attack a little bit early to land it on the Jakiro just for some harass. But basically, you need to you need to do dual offlanes, because if a solo offlaner is zoned, which is pretty straightforward to do nowadays because people understand what they should do as a support, then you're not going to get many levels and you're just going to kind of lose the lane. And keep in mind that every deny that enemy carry gets, they're going to get just as much experience as you are. So them denying a creep is a huge advantage. So you want to make sure that when you're dual laning that you have a decent lane, that you're able to stabilize the lane, and that you can at least attempt some last hits and get some of the farm. Otherwise, you're not getting enough out of your lane. So I'm kind of waiting for level 3 here to be able to go for a strong kill. I could maybe go for it now if I was in the right position, maybe if I wrapped around the Jakiro, but I felt semi-comfortable just being patient here. I've got 8 aura damage now from the Drow. And I knew they had a ward there. I don't remember why exactly, but threw the Shadow Realm out so that I could get the damage off. Because if you cast Shadow Realm and they walk away for 5 seconds, it runs out, you don't get the damage. So threw that out. I didn't get full bonus damage, but it's still worthwhile. I also finished my wand. Not sure if that was worth finishing because it is 150 gold, but I guess I figured that I was so far away from boots that it might be worth picking up instantly. Gives me one more stat, and the other more important thing is that up to 20 charges. So if there's a lot of fighting that happens, we should be good. So I've finally been able to cross the creep wave now, and now this is a really obvious kill. Able to use Curse Crown here. I use Shadow Realm here. And put down the Bramble Maze. I did end up taking kind of a lot of damage there. But we've got Bounty Runes coming up. Spawn every 5 minutes now. Very important that you snag those. I just gave everybody on my team 110 gold, for example. Looks like they got only one of the other ones, so everybody on my team just got 150 gold from that, which is pretty amazing. We use the Shrine. My clarity is wasted, but that's okay. It's a really nice silence there on the Kunkka. And this is where I realized that they put another ward down, and my sentry was going to give me 2 observer wards. That was pretty cool. I gained 122 gold out of that total bonus. So I'm going to seek over to the side shop here, pick up my boots. I would love to sit behind one of these guys. That way I can cast Curse Crown on them from the trees. I definitely shouldn't have been sitting down here to shop. I should be sitting over here instead. If I was sitting here, we definitely would have killed the sniper just now. That was a really big mistake for me. Normally I'm not that out of position in these duel lanes, or at least usually I'm not the one making the mistake because I'm the high MMR, but I certainly messed this one up. There's Curse Crown here. I'll be able to do some damage, but I probably don't want to die for this. I actually can't believe he stayed and kept hitting there because he let me get a free attack on him, but if you know it's not a good dive, it's usually better just to wait, because I did waste 100 mana there by casting Curse Crown, and I also used Shadow Realm, but that's not my entire mana pool, and I can still recover afterwards. It's way worse for you to dive under tower and throw the game away by trying for something greedy when you feel like you're winning your lane. I felt like fairly comfortable in my lane so far. This kind of made me feel like they had another ward here, just because he dropped the shrapnel right where I was standing. With that said, might be wrong, maybe not, maybe they didn't have that. So what I'm going to do is put an observer ward down, kind of near Shrine, just to see what's going on. I can see the Doom here, he's level 4, I think. So he's pretty hard to kill. But with Chachi in the lane, it definitely looks like we're going to be able to get a kill. So what we're going to do is approach. And I kind of want to put a Bramble Maze behind them. So when you cast Bramble Maze, you can see the little circles on the Bramble Maze about who's going to get hit. I'm generally I don't feel super comfortable using the skill. I maybe even should have chased and gone for a Curse Crown on the sniper, then diving him might have been worthwhile. But Bramble Maze is kind of like, you just kind of have to like trust that people are going to walk into it in the first second that it gets placed down. Because if you don't, then you're not really going to end up placing it in the right place. Like I've wasted a lot of time being like, oh, I needed to line up this Bramble Maze perfectly. If you just get used to using it, or in that case, I knew they're going to run this way, so I put it in the direction they were going to run, and then naturally they're going to get caught. This guy walks into one, he doesn't necessarily anticipate it, but And yes, it just kind of happens. Now I knew we could get the sniper kill as well, because that guy was way out of position. He's probably purchasing his boots or something in the meantime. I mean, in reality, this item, this skill is also very good. It's kind of like a fear itself. I just basically terrorized that sniper for 4 seconds. He has to run back to his fountain. Or if anything, what he should have done probably, I don't know if Chachi had disable or mana. If he has a TP, he should just TP home. Because him getting away is not going to happen when he takes that much damage. So buying my null talismans now. I am finishing my first one. I'm close to the gold for a second. And roaming on this hero is actually really fine. It's not the most incredible thing, but if you're looking for disable, she works out really good. I'm going to go for the 4-second stun. Unfortunately, that guy's running really fast, and I'm going to run away over here, try to catch up to the Doom. So I'll put a Bramble Maze down, and hopefully catch the Doom here. I did actually get him, but unfortunately the creeps are kind of blocking a lot. I was hoping not to get hit by the boat. That did not happen. Luckily, everyone barely survived. I was able to dodge the damage of the dual breath, the second breath, so now I can walk forward. This is really nice with open wounds. I'm going to heal from this. It's because the way that open wounds works is that any damage dealt to an open wounds target is going to heal you for as much, or at least 50% or whatever the heck it does. 50%, yes. So pretty good perk. So that means any attacks that go to them, which is what I was doing, and also spell damage done. So that's why I really wanted to use Shadow Realm there, because my HP was a little bit low and I knew I could get a heal out of it. That was kind of nice. So I can take the lane for now. Pick up my level 6 now. I'm 4-0-3, so that's the only reason that I've leveled up so much. And I've got another Null Talisman. I bought a Infused Raindrop as well. I don't necessarily need the Raindrop super bad, but it does give you some really nice trickle mana, and because I have so much int, especially with the Null Talismans, any mana regen that you get is going to give you a big boost, because right now, any mana regen I get is doubled. 112% means that this is really like a 1.1 mana regen item. It's like 1.05. So, pretty nice, like a Null Talisman, basically. So what I'm doing with my hero positioning is I'm just lying in wait to see if somebody comes up. If somebody comes up to get a last hit, I can easily get a kill. I just want to be behind them ideally. That way I can cast Curse Crown. That'll give me 4 seconds, and then I can follow up with another spell. And in my haste here to wait around and wait for a kill, I totally forgot about Bounty Runes. And Bounties tipped over, and I was able to go for that. Now luckily, this is the same time that the Jakiro here came for a kill. So that was Bedlam that I just used. It did a lot of damage. Do keep in mind that that guy was level 4 though. That was a level 4 support. He has a lot of raw HP, but he doesn't have very much armor, and he doesn't have boots yet because we killed him a couple times. So that was kind of like a he's out of position and playing poorly situation. I've still got the other ultimate, the Terrorize ability, but without Bedlam, I don't really have that much damage right now. I guess that's because I was thinking about diving. I put down the Bramble. He'll probably get hit by that other one. Yeah, he did. He got hit by the northern one. But I didn't really want to hard commit. There's another example of where I shouldn't have probably even gone in for Bramble Maze, but with the Clarity Potion that I bought earlier, this should fill me back towards full. Don't know how much exactly Clarities give you right now, but it is a lot generally. 150 mana over... I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. 150 mana over 50 seconds, and that's doubled, so it's about 300 mana that this will give me, based on my mana regen. It's another reason why stat items are just really good. Things like Clarities will give you a lot more benefit. So we're thinking about going in here, and I kind of feel like I just need to open with a Bramble Maze. If I can't cut down these trees, it's just probably better to drop Bramble. They'll be disabled for 2 seconds, and I can maybe follow up on that. Or what you can do, for example, I actually can't believe you walked right into that. Kind of blows my mind. So I didn't get my Shadow Realm attack off because he interrupted me here. And I'm just going to use my ultimate. I don't know if I needed to do this or not. It was actually not bad if I think about it now. I just clicked on him. Fears him for 4 seconds. He can't cast a stun. Maybe he casts an ice path there under the tower and Weaver feels like backing. But when I terrorize him, he basically can't do anything for 4 seconds. The ultimate is sort of situational sometimes anyways, so I just felt comfortable going through with it. I brought my Veil recipe. That way, once I finish my Helm of Iron Will mana, I can instantly upgrade this from the side shop. I took way too much damage hitting these creeps here. This is basically the moment where I was like, I should really not tank creeps. Very important that I don't do that. Kind of ditching my Weaver a little bit here. Oh, that's right, and then the Kunkka showed up. Don't think there was anything I could do there. I would have had to probably play better defense in this area of the map, but unfortunately I did not, so Shrine for me, make sure you drop your stat items temporarily. This means that you don't get the health bonuses while they're backpack enabled, but as soon as they come back, then your HP will increase. It's basically a way to heal more. Now, because we're being pressured here, I definitely want to initiate. Ideally, I would go on the Kunkka, just because this guy is a much higher level. I'm just going to stand on top of him. As I went Shadow Realm, it interrupted the Sniper ultimate, and for some reason he X'd himself. That didn't make any sense. If he didn't X himself, he might have gone farther away. I think what he tried to do actually was X me. We'll look again here. Watch for my animation. I probably should have put the Bramble Maze. I mean, realistically, he could have walked like this. But he just decided to go right. I mean, maybe just, I don't know, maybe he's just a new player or something, but it kind of looked like he tried to X me so that I couldn't chase, but he X'd himself, and then it was just very obvious kill. Not the best players. I would say heroes that are good against Dark Willow, Jakiro's actually not bad. If this guy actually had like 2 dual breaths, maybe 3, he'd be in a much better place. But Liquid Fire is actually a pretty crappy ability to scale to level up early, because if you get it, it's very good at pushing towers and damaging buildings. But in terms of fighting, it's not good. Like 2 points in dual breath deals 200 magic damage instead of the 100 that dual breath itself does. And this targets the ground, so he could just dual breath me all of the time. And whenever he wants to, you could hit me with this. And 1 Ice Path is okay, but not always necessarily worth it to level up early, because that could be more damage, basically. But I think Ice Path is probably fine in this game. Doesn't bother me too much. So, because we are winning this lane, I'm going to Veil these guys, because I think I get a challenge for it. Or maybe I will completely forget. Now we will kill Sniper for free. Thinking about casting my ultimate, but you can cancel that. Walked right into the Ice Path. I got my raindrop out of there. Played this fight really badly. I think canceling Terrorize, or using Terrorize here was completely fine. I used Shadow Maze. I mean, it was okay. Why was Kunkka running there? I'm guessing he wanted to hit the Shadow Shaman or something. Oh, he wanted to hit the Weaver, I see. I don't know. I could have just, like... I don't think I used Veil the whole time. I could have just, like, Veil Bedlammed on the Doom probably a little earlier, especially when I Terrorized. He also got stunned. I also Terrorized right before the Curse Crown, which is a waste. There's really no reason to do that. So, as a whole, my skill usage was not fantastic. Got Bounty Runes spawning. I'm going to go for my Urn now. I think it would have made probably more sense to get Urn before the Veil, even though the Raindrop charges were really useful early on in the game. I think I saw the Jakiro come over here and for a moment, and it was like when we were being dove under the tower, he like walked forward kind of weird when nobody else was there and then walked back. And I didn't click on him, but I assumed he placed a ward. So I went for the sentry and ended up catching it. It was like the most wards I've denied as a support in a long time this game. So Urn is finished. I also got a Windlace ready just because I am going to want movement speed bonuses so that I can... Oh no, I forgot to grab it. I did not even realize. Get some setup here. Missed all of my Bramble Mazes, but... I can mess up my Bedlam damage a little bit. Ultimately easy, right? That's a level 7 hero, so he's actually not very farmed. He's going the outdated build, which is fine, but between like Veil and Bedlam and Shadow Realm damage, he's taking a lot. Used Curse Crown to slow things down a little bit. Gonna get healed up a little. Right click damage is actually pretty good. But that's because I have 52 damage from Drow Ranger. It's pretty impressive. This is really dangerous to stand here. It's a good chance that I just get caught. Although what I actually really wanted to do... Maybe should have used Terrorize there. When they were running at Shadow Shaman. I'm just going to use Terrorize here to make them run away. I end up getting doomed, unfortunately. Chachi attacks a little too early, unfortunately. Did I just get cast range now? I'm not sure. But yeah, the 20 damage perk is not bad. It's just cast range is almost always better. And I think this even kind of goes for Lina in a lot of cases. Lina mid, the cast range is just superior because it lets you set up Yules, it lets you stun from farther away. Just makes initiating simpler. It's kind of like a... It gives you some of the benefit that something like a Blink Dagger or Shadow Blade does. And that's usually more useful than just raw damage output for a lot of heroes. Looks like you put another ward down over here. So I'm just going to use Bedlam to push this. It is not great. And I definitely should have used Veil instantly because it would have increased the damage by 25%. But the creep wave is dead, and that's a good thing to do. Pick up a TP scroll. Without Bedlam, I basically can't solo kill. But I do have level 2 now, so if there is an opportunity, I can go for it. I maybe should have used Shadow Realm there, because if he was able to catch up to me, I was going to die. I want to actually go back and check free cameras. Was I just not watching the map? I was literally just not watching the map. This guy's literally visible. Although, it wasn't super visible, but I was very focused on the Kunkka here. And luckily for me, the stun actually stunned both of them, which allows me to cast a really easy Terrorize, which then they run back to their base and I'm alive. So that felt good. Definitely a little strong, and that's like one of those moments where people are like, oh, this hero's OP. Like, what are they supposed to do against that? The answer is they could have spread out a little bit. That way they didn't both get stunned, and then only one of them gets terrorized. But they kind of let themselves get stunned there. And they let me get out of danger for basically nothing, and I can just go back to killing creeps now. Doom really needs to get a Vanguard this game, actually. At least in GSC Thailand, there was a lot of Vanguard, Crimson Guard purchasing going on. Chris here rotating into the lanes, so technically these are now his creeps. Still trying to finish my Veil when I can. I kind of regret not having a Tranquil Boots this early, personally, just because my movement speed would have been so much better for all these moments, but with having an Urn, it feels like it's fine. Because then I can keep Windlace, it'll eventually upgrade to a Super Urn or a Spirit Vessel, and it'll make up for some of the lacking here for not having Tranquil Boots. Just going to use Shadow Realm so I don't get attacked during this. I'm going to get ulted, but I have an Urn, and I have a Veil, so this is really not that bad. They've done damage to me, but they didn't really hard commit. They probably should have. If they'd brought more heroes, they could have caught me under the shrapnel after I used Shadow Realm. They seemed a little bit unsure. I think they were pushing bottom, so I'm going to go bottom now to set up here. I think he was worried about getting dived or something like that. So whenever you rotate to a lane like this as a support, the most important thing you do is that you don't walk up to the creep wave. Because if I basically left the top lane, mysteriously, if they didn't have a ward, and now I'm bottom, but technically they don't know I'm here yet. So if I teleport to this lane and I walk up to the creep wave, they instantly know I'm here. And then there's no way that they're going to go on Drow Ranger, for example, because then they know Dark Willow's there. But if I sit behind, and if they're setting up a gank, and I get there in time, and I don't show, and they initiate, then I can counter-initiate and go for a possible kill. I was looking at the Terrorblade here, and I was looking at the map, I thought he was going to come over here to farm neutral camps, because the creep wave just respawned. I thought that's where he would be, so I pinged here saying, like, he's going to come farm over here. So I misused my skills maybe a little bit, but that was fine. It did actually work out. I must be thinking of a different moment where I was confused. I think that maybe it was it. I don't remember. But really straightforward kill, right? I don't even know if I brambled the wrong hero, I believe. I used Curse Crown on an illusion and not his main hero. But with the silence and a little bit of slow from the daggers, it was really straightforward. Don't have to worry about Sunder. I deal damage to give a different damage type so we can just get a kill. Just really straightforward and easy. And with that kill, now we feel semi-comfortable pressuring the tower. My camera position is awful here. My camera should be like right here right now. I don't need to look at the tower. Like, certainly don't need to look at my team. Like, I could be looking at this is what I should be doing, and I am absolutely not. So that's really bad. Really shit tower position. Or camera position. I could bramble here. I think would have been good. In fact, I'm very late. This is my Yules. I basically flustered my hotkeys in this moment, is what happened. Because I walked in, I pressed all my buttons, and one of my buttons was me Yule's-ing the guy to make him invulnerable for 2.5 seconds while I tried to use Bedlam. So that was really bad. But it ultimately works out. And now at this point, I'm thinking, like, I don't have Tranquil Boots yet. Oh, I forgot that the Windlace went into the Yules as well. It does, right? I'm not crazy. Okay. Not crazy. Just damaging the illusion to kill it. There you go. Shadow Realm to dodge the hit. He wastes mana. I waste my cooldown. We both waste our cooldown, but more alive. And now with the Yules and with the movement speed perk, I'm actually really fast now. This is a one-time speed, so I'm running at 435 at all times. Unless I'm slowed, of course. I did that because I had the Veil 2 or more heroes up to like 10 times or something. I think I only got level 2 of the challenge completed. This is kind of an unfortunate way for the fight to start. But I put down the Bramble Maze because I didn't want them to engage on the rest of my allies. Though my fear actually was helpful, believe it or not, because it caught the Kunkka. And there we go, got my challenge again. I actually did kind of want to fight this. I think my attack missed. Bramble barely caught him here. I wanted to catch this guy, but he was actually really fast. I think I clicked on him, he was about as fast as I was. Maybe not, don't remember. So we can buy more movement speed now. I went top because it's still pretty early on in the game to try to go high ground. It's much easier just to push out all the lanes than it is to commit. Like I said, level 2 Bedlam is a lot of creep damage, especially with the Veil. Bought the Vit booster, got the Windlace. 65 damage from Drow. That actually makes this game so much more straightforward. I'd actually argue that Dark Willow is a really good pairing with Drow Ranger, now that I think about it. So if you think about Drow, Drow is a hero that does not want to be dived. If Drow Ranger gets dived, then she's not as strong. Her ultimate doesn't work if somebody's melee range against her. And what Dark Willow does is can either make enemies run away, or stun them, or create an area where they can't pass through it, or escape past. So it's kind of like, I can create all this like area control essentially through my ultimate on that illusion. Felt real good, man. On the backside, Lifestealer was murdering somebody. I didn't know, because I didn't move my camera very much this game. Oh, I see, he just went literally right-click items this game. Oh, I got my Veil there. Land the silence. Missed my Bramble Maze entirely. It's like one of those times where I probably shouldn't try to cast it from so far away. Want to earn this guy just in case he has like a Blink Dagger or something. I stopped paying attention to my hero for a second there. Bramble Maze. Did he even have a blink? He did not. But it's probably fine. It's probably not very useful either, but I hypothetically could have also Yules myself to prevent the damage. So I used the Shadow Arm attack. I needed to cast Curse Crown immediately. I have no idea why I'm running so far back. I'm actually so confused. I think I felt scared from the torrent or something, and there was kind of a lot of stuff, and then I was standing in the fire. So I walked away briefly, but there's no reason for me not to cast Curse Crown again right away. Just bad play, basically. There's my challenge. Hell yeah, dude. Heal up our Drow Ranger. This is an okay time to high ground, it feels like. Ideally, with Vision, it'd be better when they buy back. Now we walk away. Compounding our advantage, which should give us the ability to Roche. All good stuff here. Collect bounties for the good of the team, you know. Bedlam does some good damage. I actually feel like stopping to cast Shadow Realm is less beneficial than just auto-attacking with the Drow on my team. So that was kind of wrong, I would argue. Courier's dead as well, so it's going to be a while until I'm able to pick up my item. So another important thing is it's very important that you always do something. So you might be confused why you don't have very many items some games. It's just because you don't hit creeps in the right moments, or because you don't spend your downtime very well. I'm happy to kill these because they give vision and they do give gold as well. So if you see what I'm doing, I'm basically pushing the lane a little bit, which gives me a little bit of map control. And then during downtime, because I don't want to push the lane over and over and over again on the same lane, that's on the same wave, because eventually they'll just gank me. But if I just do 1 or 2 waves and then go back to the jungle, then there's a lower chance that they're going to find and gank me. Like if somebody tracks and watches all my games, it's going to be really obvious where I'm going to be. And generally people will exploit that. Like good players will exploit where I'm going to be. They're going to be like, oh, he kills the wave and then he goes to the jungle. It's obvious, right? But against weaker players, this is like a pretty much foolproof strategy to just get a lot of farm. In fact, I'm 3rd net worth this game. And I do have a lot of kills and a lot of assists, but I've also been hitting creeps a little bit as well. Which is basically why I'm farmed. And that's even without the GPM perk. So there's my Spirit Vessel finish. That gives me another 30 movement speed. That's pretty cool. So with brown boots, I am now 466. This felt kind of insane. I think I needed to buy a little bit more ward stuff. I didn't do a very good job about that, but can easily kill a creep wave here. Like every creep wave you kill is like 400 gold or something like that. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. 300 gold, 400 gold, something like that. So the more camps you kill, the better everything becomes. I accidentally used my wand there. Wards behind the tower is really good for when you're diving. I should have probably used the Kunkka there, but I was a little scared. I can hear him better on the replay. But if I walk forward and use him and then his accents, then he stays where he is. High grounding versus sniper is not simple. So better to play it safe. We'll just change lanes, I guess. Keep all the lanes relatively pushed in, and then it's more straightforward to go high ground, because then we can kind of play between the mid and the bottom. And luckily, with all these good wards, I think Chris placed all these ones. Now it just made it easy to get this kill. Yule's in the air, he lands, he gets stunned. If we don't have vision on that cliff, then it's harder for us to get that kill, obviously, but getting the Doom kill like that just makes life kind of easy. I just wanted to put the damage down. Actually took a little bit too much here. Yeah, I actually didn't Shadow Realm at all doing that. Now I have to use Spirit Vessel to heal myself, is again the big negative of no Tranquils. Especially against Doom, actually. I just put that down because I figured I'd be able to catch some heroes. I was a little bit low, so I wanted to heal myself. Let's just slow that down a little bit. Bramble Maze to hopefully catch people as we initiate. I used Cursed Crown on this guy, eventually. And then I saw this guy was really low. Did I even bail? I did not. I didn't really play that great this game, to be honest. But the game was very straightforward. And then I made BOTs here because movement speed. And now I'm 519, which is pretty cool. Just gonna put that down so that I can see when they leave the base. Oh, he was thinking about doing me. I retreated at just the right moment. And sentry for defensive purposes. Luckily, I'm almost hasted. So getting out of danger was pretty straightforward here. 30 movement speed, 40 movement speed, 100 movement speed. Feels good, man. So yeah, I mean, on paper, this game looked really good, but my plays were not fantastic, and the players I was playing against were not fantastic. And they didn't really trade hits with me very well, or skill to itemize towards that. So that's basically why the game became kind of one-sided. And Sniper is really not the best safe lane carry, to be honest. Certainly better heroes. I think at this point I needed one more Veil for my challenge. I was scared that it was going to miss, but I think it worked. So we won. It's a pretty fast win. Pretty good executed Drow strat, I must say. Like, Drow didn't die that much. Our dual offlane did really well. I super snowballed. It did the second most damage. Lifestealer played really well. He didn't die. So that was our random guy. But he was probably against, like, who was their offlane? Doom, I guess? Lifestealer versus Doom is probably not bad for Lifestealer, I guess. If you get level death, or if you get Infernal Bladed, you can just rage to remove it, which is not terrible. Alright, well, that's gonna be it for the replay commentary. Sorry, this is literally months and months delayed. I am just a piece of crap sometimes, and I'm bad at... I just procrastinate. I procrastinate a lot. That's basically the issue. Sorry about that. But hopefully now you can go into your games and play a completely balanced hero. And that's, you know, that's actually a lot of it, is that when new heroes come out, I don't like spamming OP heroes. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like picking heroes that are really OP. I like playing what I feel like playing, and that's often not... I don't want to abuse overpowered heroes to make the game easy, I guess. With that said, I really don't like losing, and I really like winning, so maybe I should, but it feels bad. So I don't like spamming OP heroes. That's why I didn't play Monkey King until they nerfed him until he sucked, and that's why I'm kind of playing with Dark Will a little bit now. So, yeah, that's my excuse. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day. Bye.